Well, hello. My hair's still wet. I just realized. You'd think I would check beforehand, but it's the kind of life I'm living right now. I'm still recovering from a really hard fall day before yesterday on my snowboard. It's got me feeling a little out of it, but if it wasn't that, it'd probably be something else. Haven't taken my dogs for a walk yet, my dog friends, and they're not that happy about it. And I am going to attempt it today. I had to skip yesterday. Anyway, there's an update on where I am. I am still enjoying my countdown to 55 and every day reflecting on the things that have changed, both in my life personally and more broadly speaking in society. I think I've mentioned my book, The Shift, Own Your Emotions, Own Your Life. I've got some copies of it behind me there, which I spent 4 years writing and rewriting and finally published last summer. And since then, I've seen a lot of other people, many experts, talking about very similar, about the same subject, really, emotional fitness, how important it is to figure out how to re-regulate ourselves when we get dysregulated, how to recognize that we're dysregulated, and then re-regulate ourselves. What I call emotional fitness, which is not just that emotional intelligence piece, although that's part of it, but also an emotional resilience piece, learning how to get back up when we get knocked down, or not make as big a deal of it when we become dysregulated. So it's both, and normalizing dysregulation and normalizing becoming more fit, so that we get dysregulated less often and we pull ourselves back into regulation more quickly. I have created a community over on the school platform called the Human Reboot Dojo, and I have a version of it over in the Facebook community. Is that a thing? Called the Human Reboot Camp. And both of those are places where I am doing what I can to teach about what I call 2-minute tools for re-regulation, and also holding 3-day resets, which starts tomorrow. Every month I'm doing a 3-day reset. This month's starts tomorrow, and I host those through the school platform over in the school, the school community over in the Human Reboot Dojo. I'm excited to be starting up a higher level group from that community called the Shift Lab, where we will really be doing the work, as it's called by Byron Katie and others, really diving into some shadow work, into the work of taking full responsibility for our own energetic state and practicing how to up-level that state. I wrote most of an article. I don't think I've published it yet, but I was working on an article yesterday that's related to all of this, and I'm thinking about the theme for this month's reset. And the theme is communication, really, human to human. I was thinking about intimate communication, but then I was thinking it really the same fundamentals apply to all forms of communication, which are partly to do with choosing the right language. There's nonviolent language, there's checking in with each other, learning to develop better listening skills. All of these are super important. But what I was writing about in my article that I think is very much a key that doesn't get talked about enough is that without the right energy, our communication, it doesn't matter how good your words are if your energy is off, right? If your energy is out of sync with the person that you're communicating to, or the group that you're communicating to. You could have the perfect language and not have perfect communication, and conversely, you could have imperfect language and still have a better transmission of information, getting toward the goal that you're wanting to get toward with your communication. That wasn't very good, was it? Quite clunky. Yeah, I think about that a lot, and how on the like both are important. I'm not trying to say it's not important to choose our words well and develop better listening skills. Um, those little techniques like using I or you language, those things make a big difference in our communication. Keeping in mind our skill, being clear, backing off from communication when we recognize that we're dysregulated, saying like, hey, I'm starting to get dysregulated. Can we come back to this in a little while after I've had some lunch or a drink of water or something? Those are all very healthy skills, but they're all aimed at something bigger or more basic than that, I think. And that is, again, that energy, that intention. And the reason why in the most intimate moments we don't necessarily even have to use words to communicate is because the real essence of communication has to do with our energy and our intentions more than the words we choose. Again, not that those aren't important, but that's just something I was thinking about a lot last night and this morning, and love to know if you have any thoughts on that. I am publishing the article that I'm writing about it on LinkedIn. I have a newsletter called The Hum, H-U-M, on LinkedIn. Check it out if you're interested. I have the School Communities, Human Reboot Dojo, Art Secrets, and the Authentic Action Academy. Check those out. They all have a free entry level, and they are all very low pressure. I'm not going to pressure you to spend any money. If you want to spend some money there so that you can dive more deeply into my world, that opportunity and container is there. So I am happy to be offering that, and maybe I'll see you there. I'm also happy to be working on my artwork this month. That is a big goal for me, to get my portfolio into presentable fashion by April, when I intend to do an art show one way or another. So hopefully I will be talking more about that. Yesterday I did a little bit of neurographic doodling, we could call it. I'll share that with you just for something colorful, because, well, this is a piece of digital art that I made a couple years ago now. This is some neurographic art where I just practice like rounding out. I do some neurographic lines with specific intentions, and then I practice rounding out. And in this case, I was working with a very dysfunctional black marker. So then I came back over it with some marker pens that I've had in storage for a while, and we're starting to dry out. So I had fun testing them all out. You can see how streaky it is, and you can't feel it, but I can feel it. It has quite a bit of texture, and they have some neat, like a little bit of metallic effect to them. So I might use this and some other neurographic art pieces I've had, do some collage work that I've seen some friends of mine working on, or I might just add it to my collection of neurographic art. But in my portfolio world, I'm working on some cards and some bigger original pieces. I have actually have about 5 different categories or sections that I have in mind, and I intend to get at least 3 of them finished. We'll see if I do. Wish me luck, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by.